Hi, I'm Anna and welcome back to my channel, Building a Business. One of the things that's most exciting to me about rental real estate is the effect of compounding. To help hopefully get you just as excited about compounding as I am, in this video I am going to show you an illustrative example of why compounding is so powerful and how it applies to rental real estate.
So in this example, we're going to start off by depositing $1,000 into an account in year one. This account generates a 10% return each year, and we're going to watch to see what happens to our initial $1,000 investment over 30 years. So here we can see our initial balance of $1,000 in year one. Because we get a 10% return on our investment, that equals $100 for year one. The balance in year two, therefore, is simply the balance in year one, or $1,000, plus the interest earned in year one, or $100, to come to a total of $1,100. Now, because the investment balance increased, so too does the interest increase in year two. Then again, in year three, we have an investment balance that is greater than the year before, and therefore the interest earned is greater than the year before. So you can see how every year our balance is increasing and the interest we make is increasing. But it's not increasing by that much. The difference between year one and year two is $100, which isn't a crazy amount. Similarly, between year two and year three, the difference is $110, again, a relatively small amount. The interesting thing happens as you keep going. So let's look at all of the years through year 15. Now, when we get down to year 15, we have a balance of $3,797, and we have earned interest of $380. Therefore, our balance and our interest earned has more than tripled since the initial investment. Similarly, if we fill in all of the rest of the years through year 30, we can see that by the end of year 30, we have an investment balance of $15,863 and interest earned of $1,586. This balance is over 15 times the initial balance, and we did nothing except keep that balance in an account that earns 10% per year and not touch any of the interest or money that's in the account. So to see a visual representation of this data, we can look here. This graph shows the investment balance that we have based off of the year. So you can see at the beginning we have our initial balance of $1,000, and then it slowly increases and then increases faster and faster and faster until we get to year 30, where we have a balance of almost $16,000. Clearly, the path between year 1 and year 30 is not linear. It's actually exponential, and it grows faster and faster each year. So if we continued this graph through year 40, you can see what looked to be a very large number in comparison at year 30 is not even half of what we have at year 40. So now let's look at a compounding example that has to do directly with rental real estate. So for this example, we're going to assume that every home you might want to buy has a value of $100,000. Any loan that you would get, as in any mortgage, requires a 20% down. Because the home value is $100,000, 20% down is equal to $20,000. Every mortgage additionally has a 3.5% interest rate. You can use an online calculator or check out my video on how to calculate your monthly mortgage payment, and you will determine that with those values, you'll have a monthly mortgage payment of $359. You've also agreed with the owner that they will pay your closing costs and any other miscellaneous costs you have at the time of purchasing your property. These properties meet the 1% rule, meaning that each property will rent for $1,000 per month. Additionally, we're going to go with the 50% rule in terms of expenses, which says that $500 out of every $1,000 that you get in rent will go towards expenses. Additionally, at the time of purchasing each property, we are going to set aside $3,000 to have for capital expenditures in case they come up. So in this scenario, there are two main options. The first is to purchase the home outright for $100,000, and the second would be to purchase a home with a mortgage for $20,000. Let's look briefly at the numbers for each one. If we're going to purchase the property outright, then we have to pay $103,000. That's because we're going to pay $100,000 for the property and $3,000 for capital expenditure savings. Using the 50% rule of thumb, we estimate that $500 of the rent will go towards vacancies, repairs, insurance, and other items. And so we're left with a profit of $500 per month. If instead we were going to purchase the property with a mortgage, then we would need $23,000. $20,000 for the down payment and $3,000 for capital expenditure savings. Additionally, we're going to assume the 50% rule as before, and we already calculated that our monthly mortgage payment will be $359. Therefore, our income from each individual property that we purchase with a mortgage will be $1,000 minus $500 minus $359, which comes out to $141. In the examples, I rounded this to $140 just to keep everything a little simpler. So here's a summary. If we purchase the property with a mortgage, we need $23,000, and we will get a profit of $140 per month. If we purchase the property outright, we'll need $103,000, and we'll have a profit of $500 per month. So let's assume that in order to fund the purchases of your real estate properties, you save $1,000 per month from your 9-to-5 job for 30 years. Yes, I understand $1,000 per month is a lot of money, and that 30 years is a long time. If you're going to invest in rental real estate in a way that's not risky, it's going to take money and it's going to take time. That being said, I still believe that it'll be faster and cheaper than the traditional ways of saving for retirement. So we're going to look at 5 different examples. This is example 1. For this example, assume that you're going to purchase every single property with a mortgage and that you have access to an unlimited number of mortgages. Each of the mortgages have the same characteristics that I mentioned earlier. Now, of course, this isn't realistic. You wouldn't be able to get an unlimited number of mortgages at the interest rate I mentioned. However, this example is just to prove how compounding works. So for this example, we'll just assume what I have written here. So in year 1, you start with a balance of $1,000. At this time, you have 0 mortgages and you have no profit per month from your rental portfolio. You invest $1,000 from your 9-to-5 job, and so the next month, your balance increases to $2,000. We get that $2,000 from adding the balance the previous month of $1,000 with the amount invested of $1,000. Now with $2,000, again, you have no mortgage, your profit per month is 0, and again, you're going to invest $1,000 from your 9-to-5 job. In month 3, you have $3,000, again, no mortgages, and everything else is the same. If we continue this for year 1, you'll see at the end of the year we have $12,000 saved. While $12,000 is a lot, it's barely half of what we need to purchase our first mortgage. So let's look at year 2. In year 2, we continue with the same pattern. When we get to month 8 of year 2, we have $20,000 saved up. That's enough for our mortgage, but we're not going to purchase the property until we have at least $3,000 saved up for capital expenditures as well. So we keep going until month 11 of year 2, when we have $23,000 saved up. Earlier, we mentioned that we needed exactly $23,000 saved up in order to purchase our property if we want a mortgage of $20,000 and a capital expenditure savings of $3,000. So here we have $23,000 saved up. We subtract $23,000 for the down payment and the capital expenditure savings, and we're left with a balance of $0. But we do have 1 mortgage now, which means that we have a profit per month of $140. Again, we invest $1,000 of our own money, and we continue the pattern through the end of the year. Year 3 is very similar, with 1 mortgage, a profit of $140 per month, and $1,000 invested of our own money. At the end of year 3, we have $14,820 saved up, and the interesting thing comes in year 4, where again we've saved over $23,000. Therefore, we can subtract $23,000, we're left with $940, and we get a second mortgage. Therefore, our profit increases to $280 per month, and again, we're going to invest $1,000. We can now fill out the rest of the year and continue on. One thing you may notice, however, is that the miracle of compounding is starting to occur. The months needed of investing to get to our first mortgage was 22, but then the months needed to get to our second mortgage was only 21. And if we keep going, the months needed to get to our third mortgage is 18. So you can see that every time we can get another mortgage faster and faster. This is because in addition to the $1,000 that we're investing from our salary, we're also reinvesting all of the profits we make through our rental portfolio that we have thus far. So let's take a look at year 10. At the end of year 10, we have 7 mortgages, which means we have a profit of $980 per month. And again, we're still investing $1,000 per month. At the end of year 20, we have 21 mortgages, and our profit per month is $2,940. At the end of year 30, we have 52 mortgages, and our profit per month is $7,280. That's an incredible amount of money, plus that isn't taken into account the fact that many of our mortgages are pretty close to being paid off. In the example I used, I considered each mortgage to be a 30-year mortgage, meaning that the first few mortgages will be paid off in the next few years. This graph shows the passive income that we get from our properties at the end of each year. So you can see at year 1, we have $0 that we get, and then each year it increases and increases up until we get our $7,280 per month by the end of year 30. Now, example 2, we're going to take the opposite approach. We're going to assume that we don't want to take on any debt, therefore we don't want to get any mortgages, and so we're going to purchase every single rental property outright. If we look at year 1, everything starts out the same. Year 2 is also similar, but you'll see we get to the $23,000 that we used to use as our benchmark for when to buy a mortgage, but since we're not purchasing a mortgage, we have to continue on. So in year 9, you can see we've saved up $100,000, but that's not quite enough because again, we need the $3,000 extra dollars for capital expenditures savings. So we keep going, and in month 7 of year 9, we're finally able to purchase our very first property. So we take our $103,000, subtract $103,000 for the property price and the capital expenditure savings, and we're left with a balance of $0. However, we have one property, and because the property was paid in full and is owned outright, our profit per month is $500. So we can continue this process, and here at year 10, we can see that we still have one property with a profit of $500 per month. At year 20, we have 3 properties with a profit of $1,500 per month. We begin year 30 with 6 properties and end it with 7 properties, which means we have a profit per month of $3,500. Again, that's a decent amount of money. However, if you think back to the amount of money we were able to make when we purchased all of the properties with mortgages, it's significantly less. In fact, it's a little less than half of what we were able to make when we purchased all our properties using mortgages. However, that's just a quick example of why mortgages, when used correctly, can be very powerful. Here's a similar graph that you can see again. We're increasing exponentially. This graph looks a little different because our increments are larger. We increment up by $500 every time we get a new property, instead of by $140 when we would get a new mortgage. Now, example 3 is perhaps more realistic to what you might be thinking of doing. Currently, you can only get 10 conventional mortgages through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and so in this example, we're going to assume you first get those 10 conventional mortgages, and then once you have those, you're going to switch to purchasing your properties outright. So in year 1, it's the same as it's always been. Year 2, you get your first mortgage. Year 3, nothing changes. Year 4, you get your second mortgage. Year 10, you get your 7th mortgage. And then in year 14, you can see that you already have 10 mortgages. And so you've saved up enough to get an 11th mortgage, but since you only qualify for 10 conventional mortgages, you're instead going to keep going and save up until year 17 when you have enough to purchase a property outright. So here we have $105,140, subtract $103,000, and you're left with $2,140. You still have 10 mortgages, but you also have one property that you own outright. Therefore, your profit per month is $1,400 from your 10 properties with mortgages, plus $500 from your one property without a mortgage. You can continue the year as you normally would do. In year 20, you get your second property purchased outright, and your profit per month increases to $2,400. And then finally, in year 30, you get your 7th property owned outright, and your profit per month increases to $4,900. Now, if you think about the $4,900, you'll recognize that it is significantly more money than you get if you were to purchase all of your properties outright instead of using any mortgages. However, it is also significantly less than you would have per month if you purchased all of your properties using mortgages. Here's a graph similar to the ones we've had in the past. And once again, as you can see, the further along you get in your journey, the quicker your passive income increases. So now for example 4. In this example, we're going to illustrate how important it is to save as much as possible and invest as much as possible. So here again, same with example 3, you have 10 mortgages, and once you purchase all 10 mortgages, you're going to switch to purchasing your properties outright. However, what's different about this one is that in each year, you're able to save an additional $50 per month. So in year 1, you save $1,000 per month, same with the other examples. Then in year 2, you save $1,050 per month. In year 3, you save $1,100 per month, and this keeps going for the full 30 years. So for example 4, year 1 is the same as everywhere else because you're only saving $1,000 per month. So in year 2, you start investing a little more, you save $1,050 per month, and you can see that you still get your very first mortgage in month 11 of year 2. Year 3 is mostly the same, but again, you're saving more. You're saving $1,100 per month. And then year 4, you purchase your second mortgage. The interesting thing with this is that because you're investing more in this example than you were in example 3, you are able to purchase your second mortgage in month 6 of year 4, as opposed to in example 3 when you purchased it in month 8 of year 4. And sure, 2 months probably doesn't sound like that much, but it all adds up as you save more and more and invest more and more. So here at year 10, you can see that we end the year with 8 mortgages and a profit of $1,120. In year 20, you've used up all of your 10 mortgages and you own 3 properties outright. So your profit per month is $2,900. In year 30, you're able to purchase your 12th property. So at the end of the year, you have 12 properties owned outright, 10 properties with mortgages, and a total profit per month of $7,400. Here's the graph showing your exponential growth and ending the 30 years with a passive income of $7,400. Now for the last example. So this example again is similar to example 3 in that you can get 10 conventional mortgages, and then once you use up those 10, you're going to switch to purchasing properties outright. Now, part of the appeal of rental income is that you can have passive income that you can live off of after you've retired or stopped working as many hours as you had been. So in this case, we're going to show how that could work. After year 15, you're going to stop investing the $1,000 per month that you typically invest, and in addition to that, you're going to withdraw half of whatever you make each month to help support your lifestyle. Doing so means that you could switch to working part-time, reducing your hours, or switching to a job that you like more but pays less. So for example, if in year 16 you made $40,000 in profit from your properties, then you will withdraw $20,000 to help support your lifestyle. So here's year 1. It's the same as example 3. In fact, all the way up to year 15, example 5 will be the exact same as example 3. Now at year 15, it's all the same, but we switched to year 16, and here's where you'll see some differences. So first of all, you'll see that your profit per month halved. That's because you're going to be taking half of whatever profit you make and withdrawing it to support your lifestyle. So you can see that instead of an investment here, you have a withdrawal, and that's equal to the amount of profit that you have of $700. If you add 700 and 700 together, you'll get the $1,400 that you are making from your properties. Now that continues for the rest of the year and beyond. At year 19, you're finally able to purchase a property outright. You can see now that your profit per month increases because in addition to half of the profit you're making off of the properties with mortgages, you're also going to be taking home half of whatever you make from your properties that you own outright. So that's equivalent to a profit per month of $950 and a withdrawal per month of $950. Year 20, you'll see it continues, $950 profit and withdrawal every month. And finally, in year 30, your profit per month is $1,200 and your withdrawal is $1,200. Now remember, you're withdrawing $1,200 per month, and you're also not investing $1,000 per month that you had been. So essentially, you're netting $2,200 more than you had been previously because you've stopped saving $1,000 per month and you're making $1,200 per month in withdrawals. Lastly, here's the graph of this example 5. You can see the beginnings of the compounding, and then your profits decrease by half when you start withdrawing half, but eventually they start rising again, and you will be able to work your way back up and beyond. So the passive income isn't the only important factor in what's been happening. One other interesting item is the equity that you've built up by the end of the 30 years. So I've split the equity up into the equity based off of your properties with mortgages, the equity in properties without mortgages, and your total equity. So in the first case, you only have mortgages. So you have no equity in properties without mortgages, and the equity in properties with mortgages is a little over $2 million. I was able to calculate this value by using amortization values for every single mortgage I have and using those values to determine how much equity I have.
If you don't understand amortization or loan paydown, you can click up here to watch the video that I recently posted showing how to calculate those values for your own mortgage by hand.
Now for example 2, when you own everything outright, the equity in properties with mortgages is $0 because you have no mortgages, and the equity in properties without mortgages is $700,000 for a total of $700,000. In example 3, your equity in properties with mortgages is $709,213. Your equity in properties without mortgages is $700,000 for a total equity of $1.4 million. In example 4, your equity in properties with mortgages is $735,000. Your equity in properties without mortgages is $1.2 million, and your total equity is $1.9 million. And finally, in example 5, your equity in properties with mortgages is $709,000. Your equity in properties without mortgages is $200,000, and your total equity is $909,000. So in summary, you can see here your monthly cash flow that's being reinvested and your total equity. You can see that in terms of total equity, example 1 is the best, with example 4 slightly behind. And in terms of monthly cash flow, example 4 is the best, with example 1 slightly behind. Now I'm going to ignore example 1 because sure, this example clearly has high returns. It also is unrealistic that you'll be able to get that many mortgages with the interest rate that I mentioned. That leaves you with example 4 as your best option. However, that option also meant that you had to add extra money investing each year, which may or may not be doable depending on your situation. Ultimately, what you can see from all 5 of these examples is that having mortgages helps you build your business faster and create more cash flow. And it also shows that the more money you're able to invest from your typical 9-to-5 salary, the faster you'll be able to build your rental real estate business and the faster you'll be able to retire off of it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like it below and subscribe to follow along on my journey and watch more videos like this.